Currently, Sejong can be considered the worst area in the country. To summarize once again, there isn't any area in the country that is experiencing a significant upward trend, meaning a consistent rise over 2, 3, or even 4 years. Until when? Hello, this is Kim Ki-won from Richgo. It's the last month of 2024 for everyone. It's December. How have you been doing? It's so easy these days. I know everyone is going through a very confusing and tough time, but I hope you all wrap up 2024 well and fill the remaining days of the year with happiness. With that, let's start today's broadcast. So, today, I'm doing my weekly briefing on the overall real estate market as I do once a week. So, let's kick off the weekly briefing. All right, today I'm doing my weekly briefing on the overall real estate market, which I do once a week. So today we're starting the weekly briefing again. So the date I'm filming this is December 11th. So the data I'm using for this video, which I'm filming on December 11th, comes from December 6th, last Friday. This data reflects the weekly trends in sales and rental supply, as well as transaction trends from the end of November. So it's based on data from 2 weeks ago from today's filming date. This data reflects the weekly trends in sales and rental supply, as well as transaction trends from the end of November, which I'm using for today's filming. So the data is from 2 weeks ago, starting from the date of today's broadcast filming. I think it'll probably take about 2 weeks for this to be edited out, but what I'm a little worried about now is, when did we have martial law? It was December 3rd. So December 3 was a Tuesday, and I'm really curious about how the real estate trends changed during the first week of December. I have a feeling it probably got even colder. For now, I'll discuss the supply and transaction trends from the week right before the state of emergency was declared. I think I'll film again next week after the data is compiled for the week following the state of emergency. So I hope you're looking forward to that next video. Now, let's take a look at what happened over the past week. We can see how things moved in the last week of December compared to the previous week through the data. As always, the worst areas are Daegu and Sejong, and wow, Sejong is really serious. It's the worst. You can see that it's really bad. It's really worse. So, as you can see, it's really not good. The supply and demand for sales has completely shrunk. Next, the rental supply is also continuing to drop completely. So, both the sales and rental supply situations are currently heading in a very negative direction. So, if you look here, it seemed like things were getting a bit better around October, especially in September and October, but now it's completely plummeting. So, currently, the worst area in the country is Sejong. Next, in Daegu, which is struggling due to the influx of new residents, the sales supply is still pretty much the same, while the rental supply is fluctuating and gradually going up. In Daegu, since the supply is expected to decrease significantly starting next year, I think the rental supply might recover quite a bit around mid next year or sometime then. So, I believe that Daegu will also see some improvement, possibly exceeding 100 at some point next year, and I anticipate that by early to mid 2026 we might actually see a significant upward trend in the market in Daegu. So I think Daegu might exceed 100 at some point next year, and I expect that starting from early to mid 2026 Daegu will also see a significant upward trend in the market. Well, Busan isn't doing too well either. Busan also has a lot on the left side. Being on the left side means that the sales supply is not good. So the sales market is still not doing well, but the rental market is moving steadily at a level that's not too bad. So, Gwangju is on the rise. When we say it's going up, it means the rental supply is improving. This is really good. What does it mean when we say the rental supply is solid? Yes, it means the demand for rentals is significantly higher than the supply. What does that mean? In that case, there's a high possibility that rental prices in Gwangju will rise. And what do we need to avoid in the future? As long as there's no shortage in supply? So later on, I'll go into more detail about this during the regional analysis session. So for those who are interested in Gwangju, it would be good to keep an eye on that. And Jeonnam is also on the rise, right? That's good. The fact that the rental supply is increasing means that the rental market is stabilizing. And in the case of Gangwon-do, it has also gone up quite a bit, right? But looking at it this way, it seems like it went down a bit and then slightly went back up. So, can say that it's currently in a situation where it's just going up and down around this level repeatedly. Ulsan's rental supply, decreased, but remains stable. Sales supply is declining. Ulsan has potential for future improvement. Here, the sales supply is also gradually going down. So I mentioned that Ulsan is one of the areas with a lot of potential to improve in the future. It was doing quite well around the age of 20, but recently, the movement has slowed down a bit. Ulsan still has a long way to go before the major upward trend really kicks in. To summarize once again, there isn't any region in the country where we can expect a significant upward trend, meaning a consistent rise over 2, 3, or even 4 years. Until when? I don't think there will be anything like that until around the fall or the end of 2025. Even if it goes up, there can still be a downward pattern again, so we haven't reached a true bottom in any region yet. But when does it start? It's starting from the fall or the end of 2025. So what am I used to give free lectures, right? Please refer to pinned comment. On October 17th from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., I'll be conducting a free lecture, and I've noticed that over 1,000 people have already signed up. I really don't get why people love free stuff so much, but free stuff often comes with a catch. So, you guys, what is it? I'm free, but I feel like I have a really great opportunity coming up next year because I'm really serious about it. That's why I've prepared a free lecture on the 17th to help as many people as possible. Right now, we have about 1,000 people signed up, but it would be great if we could have 2,000 or even 3,000 joining in. Now, another area that stands out is Jeju, which has moved significantly to the right. The fact that Jeju has moved to the right means that the sales market is improving. As you can see, the trend was weak until around June of this year, but recently it has been improving. However, the rental market still doesn't look that great, and Jeju is one of the areas with a lot of unsold properties. Also, Jeonbuk has moved quite a bit to the right. The rental market still doesn't look that great, and Jeju is one of the areas with a lot of unsold properties. So, Jeonbuk has also moved quite a bit to the right. So, Jeonbuk's sales market is recovering, but the rental supply has dropped a bit. So, is Jeonbuk similar to Ulsan? A little to the left, down. So, the fact that the sales supply has moved to the left means that the sales supply is getting worse. So, Ulsan and Jeonbuk, these areas, seeing a decline in sales supply. Now let's take a look at the metropolitan area. Look, Seoul. So, it moved to the left below Seoul, right? The sales supply is continuously getting worse, and the rental supply is also not improving. Why are some experts saying things that seem to go against the grain? They say there's no supply in Seoul, but if there's no supply, then the rental demand should go up, you know. Can you see this? It needs to go up. It needs to go up. But what does it mean when the rental supply is decreasing? Right now, there are more rentals available than there is demand. So, this is what we mean. We need to clap our hands, right? You hear that sound, right? But what does it mean to only talk about supply? It's just like clapping by yourself. So what does that mean? We need to look at demand and value. So, when we look at the rental market, it's really important to analyze the rental supply data to understand how the rental, demand and supply are currently competing with each other. But what does this mean? The fact that it's dropping right now. Do you remember this time? What happened? In the second half of 2020, the rental prices plummeted even more than sales prices. Of course, I don't think there's a high chance that it will go that far, but many experts are saying there's no rental inventory, no supply, and that rental prices will keep rising. However, the data is telling a completely different story right now. The rental supply is continuously dropping and getting worse. So if it drops a bit more, specifically below 100, then rental prices could start to decline. The rental supply is continuously dropping and getting worse. If it drops more, below 100, rental prices could decline. You shouldn't listen to experts saying prices rise from supply shortages. Look at rental supply data and observe changes. It's proven data provides accurate forecasts. Examine this data. It's already proven that this data can provide a much more accurate forecast than many experts. That's why it would be good to carefully examine this data when making decisions. Now, let's take a look at Gyeonggi Province. So, in the case of Gyeonggi Province, it's gone up a little bit. It's just a slight increase, but it doesn't really mean much. The rental supply in Gyeonggi Province is also continuously dropping. We're gradually heading into a more dangerous situation. In the case of Incheon, there's almost no movement at all. Compared to last year, rental supply has only slightly increased. So, overall, these trends indicate that the situation is still not good. It's getting worse and worse. In this situation, what happened? At the beginning of December, martial law was declared. And in December, I'm really curious about how this first set of data is going to change. It's hard to say I'm looking forward to it, but I'm very curious myself. Given that a state of emergency has been declared, I'm really wondering just how much worse the supply and transaction trends have gotten. Now, let's take a look at the transaction trends. I'm really curious about how much worse the supply and transaction trends have gotten now that a state of emergency has been declared. Now, let's take a look at the transaction trends. This is the supply situation, transaction trends. You can see market energy. First, look at the metropolitan area. In Seoul, it went down and to the left. Right? Yes, the supply has worsened and both sales transactions and rental transactions have shrunk. Rental transactions have continued to shrink. This is very significant, isn't it? Many people, just to reiterate, there are those who keep saying there's a severe supply shortage, which really makes people anxious. What those people are saying is completely different from this data. If the rental market is, as those people say, then there should be a lot of rental transactions and the rental supply should be good, but both the volume of rental transactions and the rental supply keep declining. It's getting worse. You need to clearly check the market situation. With the data, it's getting worse. Now, let's take a look at Gyeonggi province. In Gyeonggi, both sales and rental transactions are continuously decreasing. In Incheon, the sales transactions have slightly increased compared to last week, but rental transactions are still dropping. So, what about rentals now? Right now, transactions are continuously decreasing and the supply situation is also getting worse. As of now, the rental prices in the metropolitan area aren't at a level that's risky enough to drop. But if this situation continues, several months, I can see a possibility that by the second half of 2025, rental prices could be in a very risky situation based on the current data. And just to reiterate, supply volume in 2025 isn't small. When is it small? It's clear that 2026 will be small. But I really want you to keep in mind that in 2025, there will absolutely not be a supply shortage. Of course, this varies by region, right? You can see the data. It's all available on the Richgo app. Now, looking at the metropolitan area, if we go down and to the left, we see that Gyeongbuk is also experiencing a decline in both sales and rental transactions. Cheongbuk is also not doing well, and Daejeon is struggling too. Then Jeonbuk is also going down, which means that rental transactions are getting worse. In Jeju, the sales transactions have significantly decreased as it moves to the left. Now, in the case of Busan, the rental transactions are decreasing as it goes down, and there's almost no change in sales transaction. In the case of Sejong, it's the area with the worst supply situation, and both sales and rental transactions are significantly decreasing. However, when looking at the whole country, one of the areas where rental transactions are still quite active is Sejong. So, in the case of Gwangju, it has gone up right. In other words, rental transactions are rapidly increasing right now. So, what about Gwangju? The rental supply is good. And with the increase in rental transaction volume, the data is indicating that the rental market is very active right now. In the case of Cheongbuk, it has also declined significantly. Both sales transactions and rental transactions have dropped significantly. In Ulsan, compared to last week, both sales and rentals have slightly increased. Indeed, Ulsan is one of the hottest areas in the country for rental supply, and it has seen a bit of a rebound in transactions compared to last week. In the case of Gangwon province, as you can see, sales transactions are decreasing, while rental transactions are slightly declining. The overall trend is a bit different across the country. So what I'm keeping an eye on is that the rental transactions and supply in Gwangju are really hot and good. Meanwhile, in the metropolitan area, both sales and rental transactions are freezing up. There will be a rental price surge this year due to a lack of supply. There will be a surge in rental prices next year to a lack of supply. I hope you all will fact check the real estate market while keeping in mind that the data is showing a completely different trend from what is being said. That's it, today's content. If you enjoyed today's content, I would appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and leave a nice comment. Thank you. Thank you.